morning, everyone. I am Dalanda von M. Afrique, and I will be reporting about the two views of learning process, the theories behind these views, and the effect it has on the classroom and the role of the teacher and students in this classroom. In the traditional teacher-centered approach to learning, the teacher is the expert and the dispenser of knowledge to the students. As what we can see here in the figure, we have the T and the S. The knowledge is represented by the arrow, which is pointing to the students, delivered by the teacher. This approach is largely a broadcast model of learning where the teacher serves as the repository of knowledge. The teacher is the source or the primary source of knowledge, and the role of the students is just to listen and absorb this knowledge given by the teacher. The traditional educational paradigm is often characterized by the following view of learning. Learning is hard. Many view learning is a difficult and often tedious process. According to this view, if students are having fun or enjoying what they are doing in a learning activity, they probably are not learning. Thus, in the traditional approach, learners should take education seriously or their learning seriously. That's why enjoyment or entertainment is a sign that students do not see learning or education as valuable to them, therefore acquiring nothing, no acquisition of skills which could directly affect their future. Learning is based on a deficient model of the students. The system strives to identify deficiencies and weaknesses of the students. It means that what the students lack or what their weaknesses are, the teacher is expected to address these weaknesses, to create and design lessons that targets these weaknesses and make improvements for the students. If the students don't know basic arithmetic, then the lesson should be focused on teaching how to learn or solve math problems. Learning is a process of information transfer and reception. Students are producing knowledge because in traditional approach, they are just repeating the knowledge or the information given to them by the teacher. The classroom is teacher-centered because it is the teacher who controls the classroom. The students has little or no involvement in their learning process. The role of the teacher is a dispenser of information, and the role of the student is a passive receiver, storer, and repeater of the transmitted information. This type of learning does not allow students be critic to be critically to be critical thinkers, does not develop the higher order thinking skills or problem solving skills at all. Learning is an individual or solitary process. Students spend long hours working alone at their desk completing worksheets or repetitive tasks. This is the view that students prefer to learn alone, and therefore tasks and learning experiences are are done individually and not by groups because students wanted more work allowing them to think for themselves. They wanted to design and make things, to experiment and to engage in first-hand observation. This also is a sign that students want to be independent and be responsible of their own learning. Learning is facilitated by breaking content or instruction. The educational system is often geared more to knowledge than to sewing them together. This means that there is little connection of the content or the instruction in a particular study. There is no continuity of knowledge, therefore there is no ensured there is no assurance that learners can apply this knowledge. And there is no coherent instruction in this traditional approach. Learning is a linear process. Frequently, the textbooks or teacher's path provides only one linear path through a narrowly bounded content area or sequence of standardized instructional units. For example, teachers teach only one way to solve a problem. Therefore, do not allow students to explore and find other ways to solve a particular concept, to explain a particular concept or solve a problem. From this traditional approach, there is a change in view of the learning process. Learning views in the new paradigm of the teaching learning process is described below. Learning is a natural process. There are different learning, perceptual, and personality types, styles that must be considered in the design of learning experiences for the individual student. In this learning, in this new view of learning process, they acknowledge and consider the individual differences and different learning styles of the students. Learning can be designed through visual, auditory, kinesthetic methods or other methods that that which is based on how students learn best. If the student prefers and learn best through seeing a visual picture or video, then a visual methodology can be used in the classroom. Learning is a social process. Unlike traditional approach where the learning is individual or solitary process, in this new approach, they acknowledge the importance that students learn best in collaboration with peers, teachers, parents, and others when they are actively engaged in meaningful, interesting tasks. Learning by interacting with others can help students attain valuable knowledge. Respect others' opinions by engaging in meaningful tasks. Also, there can be collaboration between teachers and parents in communicating grades, concerns, the curriculum goals, and many more. Learning is an active process and not a passive process. In the traditional approach, learning is a passive process because students are not involved in their learning and the teacher has control on the classroom. But in this new approach, learning is an active process. Students must be actively engaged in the learning process in activities such as solving real problems, producing original writing, etc. Instead of being a passive learners where students are just absorbing knowledge, never being involved with the learning process or sharing their own thoughts, students are treated as active learners who are actively engaged in the course materials through discussion, even question and answer, problem solving, case studies, and etc., which develops a learner's higher order thinking skills and critical thinking skills. Next, we have learning may be either linear or nonlinear. Students learn by augmenting, combining, and rearranging a collection of cognitive task maps, many of which overlap or are interconnected through a complex network of associations. Learning is integrative and contextualized. Learners must discover themselves the connection between concepts with the help of the teacher. Unlike traditional approach where content or instruction is isolated or broken down into parts. In this new approach, learning is integrative, meaning there is connection between one subject area to another subject area, so there is continuity of knowledge, allowing unified concepts and ideas to be used not just in the present but also in the future grade levels or future profession. Learning is based on the strength model of students' abilities, interests, and culture. Diversity and individual differences are valued, and the learning process is designed to build on the strengths and assets brought by the learner to the classroom. Activities are based on the multiple intelligence of the students, on what they like or what makes them engaged and motivated. If learners are interested in play, for example, the preschools, then activities should be based on play. The lesson should also respect the different cultures of the students. And and it is the role of the teacher to plan well the lessons based on these factors, which teachers also have a hard time on doing. Lessons learning is assessed through task completion, products, and real problem solving of both individual and group efforts. Actually, in traditional approach, the learning is assessed through pencil and paper. Example, multiple choice, items, fill in the blanks, which does not develop a learner's higher order thinking skills. But in this new approach, learning is assessed through authentic tasks, like using portfolios, which is a compilation of a student's performance, like writing skills, which allows a teacher and students and even parents to keep track of the development of the student. Work in both collaborative and individual learning tasks like role playing, uh, conducting a broadcast, and many more authentic tasks. These tasks are authentic tasks because it is based on real life context. Of course, when there is a change in view of the learning process, there is also a shift from teaching to learning. As technology has created change in all aspects of society, it is also changing our expectations of what students must learn in order to function in the new world economy. A shift from teacher-centered instruction to learner-centered instruction is needed to enable students to acquire the new 21st century knowledge and skills just like problem solving, critical thinking, video literacy, digital literacy, financial literacy, information literacy, and many more. From teacher-centered, from a from, from a teacher-centered classroom to learner-centered classroom. The teacher's role in the teacher-centered classroom is to be the fact teller, the always expert, because they are the source of knowledge. They give and give knowledge. But in learner-centered learning environments, the learner is the center of the classroom, and the role of the teacher is just to facilitate the students to ensure that they are learning the content and concepts well. The teacher also needs to provide feedback and help to their learners. In teacher-centered lesson, the instructional emphasis is about facts memorization. But in learner-centered learning environments, the instruction is about identifying relationships, asking questions, creating projects, inventions, and new discoveries. In teacher-centered lesson, there is accumulation of facts. But in learner-centered learning environments, there is transformation of facts into application, transformation of facts into actions, and applying it into real life situations, and not just letting this knowledge be stuck in your head. The assessment in teacher-centered lessons is multiple choice items, just like what I have said earlier. But in learner-centered learning environments, the assessment is criterion preference. There is a specific criteria to assess important aspects like creativity, originality, mastery, which can truly be helpful in assessing students and their learning. Portfolios, which is about compiling the different projects, the different assignments of the students to assess how the learning improved them from the beginning up to the last. and performances, performance-based tests, just like role playing. This new environment also involves a change in the roles of both teachers and students. The teacher, from being a knowledge transmitter, primary source of information, and the expert, the teacher became a learning facilitator, collaborator, coach, mentor. The teacher's role has become to facilitate his or her students and not to be controlling, but to allow learners to be accountable of their own learning and to take responsibility. Teacher controls and directs all aspects of learning has become to giving students more options and responsibilities for their own learning. In terms of students' role, from being a passive recipient of information, because they are not allowed to ask questions, but they are just passively absorbing lessons from their teacher and never being involved in the learning process. This role shifted to being the active participant in the learning process. From reproducing knowledge or repeating the knowledge the teacher has given them, shifted to producing and sharing knowledge. They are now able to produce their own thoughts and ideas about a concept, sharing what they know, and participating at times as experts. This can be done through reporting, through question and answer between students and teacher. In from being a solitary activity, it has shifted to learning collaboratively with others. Because learning with group mates with others as like classmates allows a student to share opinions, respects others' opinions, and retain this knowledge by being collaborating with others. Theory supporting the new views of the learning process. The new views of the learning process and the shift to student-centered learning have emerged based on cognitive learning research and the confluence of several theories that have informed our understanding of the nature and context of our learning. The learning environment that may be derived from this view of the learning process is shown in the picture. So the learner is surrounded by students, peers, technology, the teacher, or the co-learner, because the teacher has become a co-learner in the new approach, new view. And students are surrounded by information resources. Activities The learner interacts with the student, peers, information resources, the teacher, or the co-learner and technology. And this learner and the learners engages with authentic tasks or activities, just like role playing, conducting a broadcasting, portfolio based, authentic tools, authentic assessment, and authentic context. And this learner is Coach. The figure describes the learning environment of the learners. Review describes a learning environment of learners. The learner interacts with peers, friends, information resources, technology, the teacher, or the co-teacher. The learner then engages with authentic tools, authentic assessment, authentic, authentic activities, and many more. And this environment, the learning environment, provides students with scaffolding, coaching, which is being monitored or being assisted by more knowledgeable others, and also being the environment also provides a collaborative environment through group activities, through interaction with teacher, other school officials, and even parents, having multiple perspectives from different people, and having the ability to reflect on their own domain. In the constructivist learning process, learners are active agents who engage in their own knowledge construction by integrating new information into their schema or mental structures. The learning process is seen as a process of meaning making in socially, culturally, historically, and politically situated contexts. Constructivist learning environment also provides opportunities for learners to experience multiple perspectives. The second view that we discussed earlier, is based on a constructivist approach. Vygotsky's sociocultural theory is believed to be learned. Vygotsky's sociocultural theory centers on the effect of social interaction to the student's cognitive aspect. Vygotsky believed everything is learned on two levels. First, through interaction with others, with teachers, parents, more knowledgeable others, or MKO, and then integrated into the individual's mental structure. The student can imitate or absorb the behaviors, the knowledge she or he acquired from his or her parents. They truly have an effect on the student's learning. Potential for cognitive development is limited to a zone of proximal development. This is what the students can do by themselves and what the zone of proximal development refers to the range of abilities that the students can do with the help of others and the and what the student cannot do without the help of others. It is important that students will first through interaction with others and then integrated into the individual's mental structure. Learning is acquired through interaction with others, from parents, teachers, or more knowledgeable others in the community. These, these people may model behavior or teach concepts to the child that may allow this child to absorb and internalize these concepts and behaviors. The child will seek to understand this action, and after they internalize the information, they will use it as a basis for their own performance. Second is potential for cognitive development is limited to a zone of proximal development or ZPD. This refers to the range of abilities that an individual can form with the guidance of an expert or more knowledgeable others, which in the classroom is the teacher. but yet cannot yet perform on their own. So it is important that when a child is in this zone of proximal development, an expert will provide them with appropriate assistance to help in learning new concepts to accomplish a task or a skill. Also, we have this term scaffolding, which are activities, instructions, tools, and resources that can be used by the teacher to assist the student in their learning process. The implication of this theory is that learners should be provided with socially rich environments in which to explore knowledge domains with their fellow students, teachers, and outside experts. ICTs can be used to support a learning environment, providing tools for discourse, discussions, collaborative writing, and problem solving. For example, in teaching science, a teacher can provide scaffolding or coaching by coaching them through the science experiments. For example, then in a English lesson, a teacher can write a sentence on the board and allow the students and make the students read this piece or sentence. And and to provide collaborative environment, the teacher can also let the students read together the piece aloud and ask the students to give their own description or thought about the sentence. John Piaget, learning occurs through adaptations to interactions with the environment. This equilibrium gives rise to assimilation of a new experience which is added to the existing knowledge of the learner, or to accommodation, which is modification of existing understanding to provide for the new experiences. As children assimilated new information into their mental structures, their ideas gain complexity and power, and their understanding of the world grew in richness and depth. John Piaget's core principle is that new information makes sense to the existing mental structure of the learner, and then this information is integrated into the long-term memory if it has if it has a connection from the existing knowledge of the learner. But if it is not, then it will be stored in the short-term memory and may be forgotten throughout the years. Jerome Bruner, three principles to guide the development of instruction. Instruction must be concerned with the experiences and contexts that make students willing and able to learn, or according to their readiness. Instruction should also be based on students' grade level, their interests, so they will be encouraged and motivated to learn. For example, in teaching children in preschool about animals, the teacher can conduct a drawing session to showcase learner skills let them as well as increase their knowledge about animals. Instruction must be structured so the student can easily grasp it. For example, instruction should not be too difficult or too broad and should fit based on the level of knowledge of the students. Instruction should be designed to facilitate extrapolation. Instruction should allow opportunities for students to develop the higher order thinking skills by letting students make an educated guess about a concept. They should also be allowed to express their own opinion about the topic by asking questions, answering questions, and many more. Next, we have the problem-based learning, or the PBL. The goals of problem-based learning are to develop higher order thinking skills by providing students with authentic and complex problems and cases. Instead of just presenting facts and concepts, students should learn more about a subject through experiencing a real-life problem by solving this problem and allowing them to think deeply of this problem and critically analyze ways that can solve this problem. Next is anchored instruction, which is an instruction to designing instruction that is anchored in a real world context. Distributed cognition, which emphasizes that cognitive growth is fostered through interaction with others and involves dialogue and discourse. This refers to a process in which knowledge are shared socially in order to extend information, extend knowledges and cognitive resources in which an individual cannot accomplish by his own. Cognitive flexibility is theory which asserts that people acquire knowledge in ill-structured domains by constructing multiple representations and linkages among knowledge units. The curriculum should be integrated so there is connection between one subject area to another. Students should be able to make connections between these linkages. So to allow continuity of knowledge and which students can use for future or profession purposes. Next is cognitive apprenticeship, which is a term for the instructional process in which learners or more experienced or knowledgeable peers provide scaffolds to support learners' cognitive growth and development. This means that teachers, school officials, parents can provide assistance, teach concepts to their children and students. Creative learning, which emphasizes the use of apprenticeship, coaching, collaboration, authentic task, activities, and cognitive skills. This theory emphasizes that learners learn best when they are actively involved in their learning process through collaborative problem solving, discussion, in-depth discussion, and etc. Self-regulated learners are those who are aware of their own knowledge, understandings, example, what they know and what they do not know. This allows learner to be aware of their weakness and their strengths and to have a plan on how to improve these weaknesses. Self Self-regulated learners are also reflective learners. These self-regulating learners are more likely to be successful in their school because it allows them to learn more and achieve things at the higher levels. Now, that is all for my discussion. Thank you for watching.